Hey everybody, it's Jeff from Angeles City, Philippines. I'm over here at the construction site on a Sunday afternoon. Any of you who have watched before know that my normal vlogs are on my home build, which is just about done. But today I thought I would do something a little different and do a sequel to a vlog I did a few months ago, which was titled Common Mistakes When Building a House in the Philippines. It got generated a lot of interest, a lot of questions, and I was about the middle of the build at that time, and I'm just about done now. So there's some more things that came into my head, and I thought it would be a good time to do a part 2 of that vlog. So even if you don't have any building experience, if you're planning on building a house here in the Philippines, you don't need building experience, but you do need to try to educate yourself, and you do need to try to get involved with your build to try to minimize the problems and some of the shortcuts that may be taken during your build. This vlog, I'll just do, it's a sequel to the one I did a few months ago, Common Mistakes when Building a House in the Philippines. And then I'll cover some things that in hindsight, maybe I would have done a little different, knowing what I know now. Well, I would have done a lot of things differently, but I'll just cover some of the key points in regards to the home construction. So stay tuned. Well, welcome back. Sitting in a little more comfortable area than walking around. This will be my new conference room area. I'm sitting in my outdoor living area at the new house with the bar behind me. But just like when I did some other videos like this, I always like to throw a disclaimer out. Again, I don't have a construction background, and the opinions that I'm about to provide are my opinions and my opinions only. You may not agree with them, and that's fine. But I would ask that if you have gone through this journey already, you have some experience in construction, go ahead and provide them in the comments. There's a lot of people that watch these videos that are either in the process of building or they're planning on building a house here in the Philippines. And there's a lot of useful information out there. So if you have something that you think might be useful, go ahead and put it in the comment section. I will try not to talk about things that I did in the first video, and if I'm able to figure out how to do that, I will link the first video in the description. But again, it was a few months ago. Common Mistakes When Building a House in the Philippines, I think is what it was called. So with that, let's just jump right into it. I guess I'll talk a little bit about plumbing matters. So this is my water filtration system. I mentioned it several times in my vlogs, but it's all hooked up here, and it's connected to the, right here is the pumping station, which is right next door. So it's the city pumping station. It's right next to me, so my pressure is pretty good, even without any type of pump within my house. I got probably 42, 44 PSIs, which is a pretty good pressure for in the Philippines. But this was installed when I was in the US, and in hindsight, one of the things that I wish they wouldn't have done, and I'm going to go back and correct it, is the system does not have a bypass. So the water from the pumping station comes in, goes through the filtration system, goes into this filter system, and can either go straight into the house, or I can have it come into my cistern. I have about a 1,200 gallon cistern underneath the floor here. So with the current pressure, I'm good. I just have it going right into the house now without going down the cistern. But if that ever gets it interrupted and I want to use my own pump, pump is up to about 50 psi's. It'll pump water out of the cistern into this water bladder tank where it gets pressurized, and then it'll go in the house. So what I would have done differently, and what I am going to have corrected, is there's no bypass for this filtration system. So if this shits the bed for some reason, then the water's not going to get into the house. So what I'll do is have a bypass from the main to just go in directly into the house if the filtration system fails. And the filtration system here is not to make the water potable, but to remove the hardness out of the water. So a lot of calcium and magnesium in the hard water here, which causes water stains and scum to occur on your showers and toilets and sinks and stuff like that. So that's one of the things that I would have done differently. And had I been here and known that they did this, I would have asked them to do that. The other thing, which to me is a no-brainer, and I don't know why they did it, but these water bibs here, and I have 3 of them. I have one here, and one down the end down there, and then another one over here. So those bibs are receiving water from the filtration system. And I don't need to soften the water that's going to be used to water the grass and the garden. And that really goes without saying. Not sure why they did that, but it's done. So it's something you want to think about if you have a filtration system put in there. Do you really want to have the water that you're using for outdoor use go through the filtration system? And while I'm out here, I'll talk about some other plumbing items. One, the placement of the water bibs. In hindsight, I would have liked those in the wall on the house, not on this wall. It's a little bit easier to do it here, I guess, because they just run the lines and they don't have to chip anything out. And I think the reason they did that is because I mentioned it towards the end of the build, and I think somebody had an oh shit moment and realized they didn't put them in the house. And then the other thing that I'm sort of on the fence about is the catch basins, these concrete manhole covers. So my rental house, and I'll show you what they look like, but the rental house is a little different. So I have, it's all tiled along the walkway in the rental house. So these catch basins are actually against the wall of the house, and it's a metal grade. And I really like the look better than those, and I think it also helps to remove some of the water during these heavy downpours that we have. You get water here. If it goes over towards the house, they're sloped in such a way that the water goes down those catch basins in the metal grade. These, I don't know, maybe it's better when you have, I'm gonna have grass back here, so maybe it is better. I don't know. We'll see as time goes by. But the metal grate ones look better than these. And then the other thing, a little different here than in my rental property, is there's no additional drains here. Now we are on the tail end of rainy season, but we've had some torrential downpours and typhoon after typhoon, so we've gotten a lot of rain back here. And maybe it's because I don't have any grass planted, but the water really pulls up back here, and you can see because of the way that it's slanted or sloped back here, it pulls up here by the house. So I would have preferred to have like some French drains, the PVC with the holes in them underneath the ground, and go through to the catch basin. So I had the landscaper over here yesterday. She's gonna put some additional topsoil on this, and I asked her to slope it a bit over this way so all the water doesn't pull up against the house. So maybe that'll alleviate the problem, and with some grass back here, maybe it will, but we will see. So within your CR, a couple things in the CR. This handheld bidet or bum gun A lot of times you'll see in a lot of houses, to include my rental house now, the tip of that gets all clogged up because of the magnesium and calcium, because of the hard water. And if you're going to use these, which is a good idea, if you don't use it and you have them, you should still be running water through them on a regular basis and cleaning the tips of them. If you have a water softener, a filtration system, that's going to help out tremendously with keeping those from getting blocked up. The installation of the toilets. So there's a wax seal that the toilet sits onto the drain. And a common practice here in the Philippines is they'll just put this caulking on that seal on the inside, which does not work. It will fail over time. And then you want to make sure they put a good bead of caulk around the outside of the toilet. Now, I've had some problems down in my maid's room. Looks like they put the caulk on and they got the floor all wet and the caulk got all screwed up. So had them take it off and they redid it. So those are two things with the toilet that you need to be mindful of. And the last video, people are asking me why I have a GFI next to my toilet. Well, that's in case you want to charge your phone, and if your phone falls in the toilet while you're using it. Just kidding, folks. I'm not sure. I asked for GFIs to be put in the comfort rooms, all the comfort rooms with showers in. And I also asked them to put an outlet by each of the toilets up in the third floor for electric bidets. That's those electric butt washers. And they chose to put the GFI there, which is fine. You only need one GFI for the circuit, so each of the bathrooms are on the separate circuit. The other thing, if you've watched some of my other videos, I had a problem with the shower door leaking in the spare bedroom. And people said, well, you gotta have a step down. Well, yeah. So typically they put a step down, if you can see that. It's a drop down, probably a quarter to a half an inch. So if the water pulls up, and it's slanted to go down the drain, which is helpful. So in the spare bedroom, the floor is slanted towards the drain, but there's not a step down there. And in hindsight, I should have had them put a little step down for both my daughter's bathroom and the spare bathroom. So this is my daughter's bathroom, or CR. See, there's no step down in there. They did put this aluminum dam. And this one seems to hold the water pretty well in there with that aluminum dam. But again, in hindsight, should have had them put a little step down there. And then this is the spare bedroom. You can see there's no step down there as well. We were having some problems because the water was coming over the dam, but they put a little gasket or a seal on here on the bottom of the door, which seems to be working well. So next we'll talk a little bit about finishes. A couple things on finishes. So again, those of you who have been following me, seen the whole tile process, the grouting process. So what I've learned is when you are tiling, and my builder told me that he doesn't typically grout until the end, but that didn't happen. So we tiled, and then they grouted, and then they were doing a lot of sanding of the skim coat, and sanding, and there's a fine white powder that's produced from that, and that got down into the grout lines, and then they went back and they dug all of that out of there and cleaned it up, and then they grouted again. They did some more sanding. So what I would say is, if you have the ability, and you may not, I mean, the builder's gonna do things in the order that he wants to do them, but you really don't want to grout until the very end, until all of the sanding and the painting is done. Then do the grouting. And then the mirror placement. So again, if you've watched the last couple vlogs, you've seen that couple of my mirrors that were put in, they broke some tiles putting the mirrors in, because I was having the type of mirror that's mounted on the wall, and the walls are tile. And we broke a couple tiles, and I just decided that I didn't want to try to screw them in. Let's just glue them on the wall. So we glued all of the mirrors on the wall. So something to think about when you're doing your comfort room or bathroom mirrors. Do you want them screwed in, or do you want them glued in? And I think if they glue them in the right way, you're not going to have any problems with them. And I think more often than not, they can screw them in too, and there won't be problems. But my luck, I had some problems with it, and we're at the 11th hour here, and I'm trying to get in the house, and I just don't want any more delays. So that's why we opted to glue the mirror. So if you've been following me in the last few vlogs, you've witnessed my my challenge with running fiber for the internet. We use Converge here. Converge is the only provider on the subdivision. And we have underground utilities here. So there's a manhole systems, and then there's PVC underneath the ground for the electric, telephone, cable, internet. And again, we had to run our fiber from way up there where the front gate is, across and all the way down. So when you are installing or trying to determine a good location for your internet box, you want to make sure that it's in a good location. So initially, you can see that I have mine down there low by that outlet. And one would think that you would just run the conduit underneath all of this before it was done and right over to there, which would have made sense. I would have even been happy if they put the internet box maybe here too, but they put it over there. And before this was all finished, I asked them about the internet and the electric, and they had a conduit ran for the electric. The panel is on the other side of that wall, over here out to the electric panel box. And I asked them about the internet, and they said, oh yeah, we're gonna run it through the same way. We're gonna put another conduit down here. So for whatever reason, that never happened. And again, if you watched some of the previous vlogs here, you know the challenges that we had. But the internet runs over here. It runs up the side of the house into the foyer. And then from the foyer, it went onto the roof. And then from the roof, it went up into the attic. And you're probably wondering why it went into the attic. Well, I was too. So it went into the attic, and then around, and then back down onto the roof, and then down through the wall, and then underneath, and then it came up in the bottom of the box. So when I asked those questions, they blamed it on the old foreman. But you just want to make sure that that box is in a good location, because we have since moved it. So it's just, this is now just sort of a junction box, and all of the Cat 6 cables that we ran through each of the rooms, we brought over here. Turn the light on. The modem there, an outlet, and all the Cat 6 cables right there. And I asked them to put the modem up here so we can put the Cat 6 cables down the bottom here easily, but that didn't happen either. But again, placement of your modem and your internet equipment is important, because it can be a major pain in the ass. What I would have done a little differently here in hindsight, I did spend a lot of time looking at the architectural drawings, but not as nearly as much as I should have, and I didn't focus on the things that I should have. And it's not the architect's problem, it's not the builder's problem, it was my problem. I mean, I looked those plans over and over again, and you really don't have a good appreciation for measurements until it's built and you can see. So One of the things is this this comfort room here, and the toilet. So if you're a bigger fella, you may have a hard time getting in there. So if you're coming to visit me, you better lose some weight, because this is the toilet you're going to be using. I think I can sit on here comfortably. Yes, I can. So yeah, it's not bad. I'm not a huge guy, but I'm not a small guy either. So plenty of room in here. Not as much room as I would have liked. You got to close the door in order to use the sink. But yeah, in hindsight, I would have probably opted to make both the bathrooms a little bit bigger, and maybe make the spare bedroom just a little bit bigger too. I would have liked to have room to put a nightstand on either side of the bed, and right now we're only able to put one on there. So I probably could have made this walk-in closet a little bit smaller. But again, not blaming anybody except myself, because I just didn't realize that looking at the drawings. And I've talked about this in a few vlogs as well. So coming into the master bedroom, so I'm in the master bedroom here now, and there's the bed, and I'm in the little foyer area. And then there was not a door on the plans here into the walk-in closet. But as the walls started to be built, and I was looking at this, and I thought, well, that air con is going to have to work really hard, not only to cool the bedroom, but now to cool this big walk-in closet. So I said, let's put a door on here. And my builder, like all the other changes I asked for, he put a door on here. And the door opens this way. So the problem with it opening this way is the door coming in the bedroom opens this way, and they both hit each other. And the other problem is this console table. We weren't able to center the console table because the swing of the door into the walk-in closet. So shame on me for not catching that. It really should have been opening into the walk-in closet. So what I'm going to do is we'll fix that once I'm all situated. We'll use one of those swinging hinges. We'll take the door off, shave it a little bit, and we'll put a one-way swing on it. So it's like a kitchen, one of those swinging kitchen doors that it just swings on the inside. Because I don't really need a door to lock up. It's just a door to keep the air conditioning from overworking and trying to cool down the closet. During the planning phase of the construction and reviewing the architectural drawings, I had outlets all over the house. And my architect and builder said, you may want to reconsider. That's a lot of outlets. And I looked and I was like, yeah, that is a lot of outlets. So we removed a bunch of outlets. And I didn't really pay much attention to it, but now that the house is done, I'm looking and like, yeah, I'm missing some outlets. There's some outlets in places that I wish I would have put them. So we'll just look over here on the countertop. And again, I'm not blaming anyone except myself because I didn't catch this. So there's 3 outlets on the countertop, and they're all down on the corner there. There's none up on this counter space, and there's none on this counter space. And I probably would have had one put into this island as well. I've seen them where you can, it's recessed and you push it and it pops up and you have an outlet there. But yeah, would have had an outlet there. I would have had some outlets. I probably would have had another outlet there. And I definitely would have had probably 2 outlets out here in the foyer, which there is no outlets out here. And shame on me, because probably would have been nice to put a little lamp out here, with a Tiffany lamp. That probably would have went well out here. Or if you wanted to put a small Christmas tree here in the window with some lights on it, would have been nice to have an outlet. And then the outlets outside, we only have 2. And those were put in after the fact too. Now those were on the drawings, and again, I think the builder and the folks here lost sight of the outlets. So they just recently put them in, and there's one on the other side of the wall here, and one on the other side of my office. But yeah, outlets, you probably want to like really review your architectural plans and make sure you have all of the outlets everywhere you want. So one of the other things, I like the windows in here. But this window, and it's nice, but this window's almost like a French door. And again, in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have put such a big window in there. This is my office, and I have a lot of memorabilia from the military and my time at my last job that I wanted to put on the walls, and I wanted to put some shelves and stuff in here. And with such a big window like this, it basically takes up this whole wall, where I could have probably had a window a quarter of that size and had some more wall space. But again, something to think about during the review process and the planning process. You don't really want to overdo it. Windows are really nice and it looks nice, but something that big, I could have just opened it up down here and had some French doors to go outside, which I really don't want. And then in the house, I think we have 7 ceiling fans. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 on the inside and 2 on the outside. So one of the things that you, unfortunately, we got it corrected during the build here, but these fans, when you put it up to high speed, there's always a little bit of shakage. But the gypsum board that they use here, I don't know what the standard is in the US, if it's 5/8 or 3/4, but it's pretty thick. The gypsum board they use here in the ceilings is super thin. So you cannot mount this fan right into the gypsum board without having any bracing or a bracket. And that bracing or bracket has to be sturdy enough to hold the weight of the fan, and also to limit the amount of vibration and shaking. So as we were installing these, I wasn't happy with the bracing that they were using, and I had them modified a little bit because, and one of them we had a problem with, but fortunately part of the ceiling wasn't closed up and they were able to get in there and take care of it. But once because you mount the fan when the ceiling is up, and if you don't have proper bracing in their bracket, you're going to have to remove a piece of the ceiling in order to get in there to fix the bracketing. So you want to make sure that they're bracing that well, whether they're using plywood or you don't want to just mount it in, this gypsum board is mounted onto some small metal framing, which is very flimsy, and it's not strong enough by itself to hold the weight of the fan or to withhold the shaking of the fan. So whatever they use, you just want to make sure that you're going there and looking at it, making sure that it's sturdy enough so that your fan doesn't shake and rip out of the ceiling when you turn it on. Yeah, I talked about doors on one of my other vlogs. Typically, the front doors and doors into the house open into the house for a couple different reasons. You talk to different people who tell you different reasons, but when you install a door that opens to the outside, you expose the hinges outside, and these hinges can easily be popped off from the outside. And sometimes you can't help but have the door swing to the outside. So in this case, we're having a washer and dryer here, and at the time I didn't know the size of the sink that I was going to use. So we have the door open to the outside. So a solution to that, if you find yourself where you have to have a door open like that and you have the hinges exposed, is you can get non-removable hinge pins for your door. And there's different kinds. The kind that I'm most familiar with have like a little Allen wrench screw in here. And in order to pull the pin out, you have to open that Allen wrench, and then you can pop the pin out. Or some of them is just sealed and all encased there. So this is a perimeter door, and again, the hinges are exposed from the outside. So I found some non-removable hinge pins or hinges on Amazon. And yes, you can get Amazon here. While I was back in the US, I went to Home Depot and Lowe's, and they didn't have any hinges that had the non-removable hinge pins on. So I'll order some from Amazon, and I'm gonna just try to put maybe 2 on here. 1 up here, leave the existing hinges on, and 1 down there. And then the same thing with this door. This door opens that way as well. But you secure this one, I'll have a deadbolt on that as well. This is the entrance into the laundry room, into the maid's quarters. So that'll about wrap this one up. Again, doesn't matter if you have a construction background or not. I would encourage you that if you're building, either building now or you're planning on building, is to get smart about it, watch some YouTube videos, do some reading, and be involved in the process. It's your money, you're spending a lot of money. You wanna make sure that you're getting what you pay for. You wanna make sure that there's not any major shortcuts that are being taken. And that you try to do what you can to minimize problems. I've said this many times before too. You really have to get in the right mindset when you come over here, and bring a lot of patience, and understand that this is not the West, and as much as you try, you're not going to turn it into the West and think you're going to perform business the way that it is done in the West. So granted, you are spending a lot of money here, and you have some influence on the way things are going, or the way that they're going to be done, but you have to realize that they have their own way of doing things here. So before you start, you got to get that in your head. You got to manage your expectations. You have to establish what is important to you, and understand when you should dig your heels in and when you shouldn't. Everything can't be a battle. You're going to wear yourself out. You'll freaking stroke out. And you have to constantly reassess your expectations. Does it have to be perfect? Maybe, if you're willing to put the effort in there, but chances are it's not going to be, especially if you're a perfectionist. You're going to have a very difficult time getting things perfect. So just something to think about. Again, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments section. If you're not yet subscribed and you like this type of material, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down here, and you'll be notified the next time that I put a video out. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and thanks for joining. Hope to see you next time. Take care.